Thank you very much for joining us. If your daughter is coming back at 5:30 from sports, don't worry, Mrs. McNeil's going to be in her classroom and your daughter will be put into the classroom and looked after if we go on any longer than 5:30. So if you do go on beyond 5:30, please just wave your hand and we'll put a stop to it very quickly for you. Thank you very much for coming. Mrs. McCabe-Arnold does apologise. She's currently stuck in traffic on the coach coming back from the Year 6 hockey visit to anyway, they've gone off themselves. So apologies that she's not here. She might try and grab us at the end of the session. It is recorded, so we will also be sending out the slides. So if you want to take those, feel free, but everything will be there. Very quickly, just to introduce it, this is what we aim to try and achieve for you and your girls. So we are aiming to provide them with academic rigour, so making sure that we are challenging them and we're tailoring their needs as best as possible. We provide outstanding pastoral support with that, and with that I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but ultimately it comes down to knowing your girls and knowing them really well and having a big group of staff around them. And lastly, you get the joy of a through school where your girls are already members of that. So it takes off the pressure a huge amount. So I'm going to now pass you over to Ms. Zornbach, who is going to give you all the details around the sort of the curriculum, the academia side of things, and then I will talk a little bit more about the pastoral support.
Now I am going to use notes because I've got quite a few pages and I don't want to forget anything or leave anything out. So we just start. So for academically, obviously the girls are on their journey. They've been on their journey if they've been with us from reception right the way through. Obviously, as they're getting, year 4 and we're going up through the school, the academic rigour does start to sort of push up because obviously we've got to get them up to that point ready for secondary school. So the work intensity does increase, but gradually there shouldn't be any sudden jumps along the way. All of the staff we have a good picture of the girls academically through the assessments they do, but also every day at school. The staff know the children and where they are. We have a tailored approach, so we have our morning math sessions, used to be known as interventions, but we're moving away from that term. So we want to start just calling it morning maths, morning English, really not having that seen as something that is just for girls who might be struggling. It isn't. It offers different groups for, aimed at different children, a tailored approach. There are also learning support lessons in place for those children who need it. We also in Year 5 start an after-school Maths and English club, so they can join that from after Christmas. And in Year 6 we also have a Maths buddy system which has been very successful. This is more geared at our the girls at the higher end of our cohort, and they work alongside year, I think it's 9s, or we've got 10s this year, year 9s, and so it will be, they work on areas to stretch and challenge them, but also is a great relationship. They build a really good relationship with girls over at the senior school, but work on greater depth. What would you say? Any other?
Greater depth, but also it's that element of challenge again. Yeah. It's really trying to stretch those more able ones within that programme.
And actually, having done surveys in the past, we find that it's both the girls in Year 6, but also the girls in Year 9 who both really benefit from that scheme. So that's working. We're hoping that will continue. So additional maths and English. So we'll have the morning sessions, small. These are very small, and the aim is that they stay small, invite only. Once the girls have done their Pira and Puma assessments this term, obviously going on at the moment, the invites for those will be going out. After school maths and English will be, this is new this year, we are opening that to everyone. So anyone who wants to go to the after school maths and English are welcome. Obviously they go at the same time as other clubs, so that is a consideration. There is also additional homework for those clubs, so an hour on top, and that's brought back to the club. It is not compulsory, and they will not miss out. So it's meant to be, again, a stretch. It's outside the curriculum. It's more puzzles. Ms. Williams, anything else? Because you're somebody who leads one of those sessions.
Yes, so actually I lead on with the maths with Mr. McKay and Mr. Staines. We're doing a lot of focus this term on puzzles and through gameplay, teaching girls to strategise and to be logical and to apply that logic so that when they come to questions that they are unfamiliar with, they go, well, I don't understand that question, or I don't quite know, I'm not used to that language, but I can still apply the skills and knowledge I've learned elsewhere into that situation. And the English group, they do very similar things. That they're not necessarily using puzzles, but they are looking through sort of comprehension of different texts and expanding the broad range that they already get in the lessons, just giving those further opportunities.
Yeah, and developing their passion for that particular subject as well. I've said about it might be on the same night as other clubs as in music or sport, but really don't feel if your child does a music club or a sports club and they're passionate about that, then go with that. You do not have to do maths and English clubs. So, the timeline of events. So year 5, so we've done our Puma and Pyrrha assessments. Next year we're going to be moving away from Puma and Pyrrha. This is widespread across United Learning. And we will be starting doing the GL assessments, and they do those at the start of the year and then at the end of the year. So it gives us a good picture as well how that compares. From what I've heard from a couple of UL schools that do similar tests, they have been quite comparable, so we'll wait and see. And they also do a CATS test. So the CATS test is designed that they show us really how children learn and what their academic potential are. And they're quite well known across other schools. Secondary schools will often ask for CAT scores to see how children are doing. So morning and maths and English sessions will start, but you'll also know about those this term. Spring term, that's when we start the after-school maths and English, and we also have a scholarship carousel even. So we invite all the different heads of department for drama, sport, art, music, and this is quite a free-flow event. So you get to come and well, you don't have to come, but if you're interested in your child pursuing a scholarship, you can then come and talk to those members of staff to get an idea of what the requirements are and what that needs to look like in terms of your child's journey. Also, what does it mean to be a scholar? And there are also members of the SLT who will talk about academic scholars and what academic scholars at the high school what opportunities they will get. So I've written down, your daughter has a place at the high school. So, and I always like to remind parents of this. Some year 5 parents who have been were worried about it at that meeting, and I said, your child is in a really lucky position. They have a place at the high school, which is a great starting place to be. If you feel that it's not the right place for your daughter, then obviously you'll be looking elsewhere if you want to, and we will support you with that, because we recognise it's not necessarily the right decision for every child, and generally most of our children do go up to the high school, but not everyone does. And so if you are thinking elsewhere, Mr. McKay-Barnard always says, doors are open, come and chat to us if you're not sure whether it is the right decision for your daughter. Learning support teachers as well have made links. So Mrs. Williams is very good, knowledgeable, knows different schools. So if you're thinking that you're not sure if that is the right school, the senior school's the right school, then you might want to have a discussion with Mrs. Williams. She has other schools that she talks to. And, you know, we would love them to go, everyone to go over there, but that might not be the case. March, if your daughter is interested in going for a scholarship, then that is the time that you would have those discussions at that opportunity. So if you're not sure, we're talking about the not academic scholarships, but in terms of the non-academic ones. And then in the summer term for the other subjects, then preparation would start to happen. So there might be, for instance, art enrichment sessions if your daughter's going for, if Mrs. Bolton identifies that your daughter might be, say, a potential art scholar, then she would recommend that she came along to the classes. And then in the summer term, we will be doing the GL assessments again, so by that point it will give us a really good idea of how they're performing. And then in the summer holidays of year 5, the girls will be given tick over work because it is a long summer and we don't want them to really sort of fall behind, that when they come back in September they've only got until November really to be at full steam, so we like to give them that summer tick over work.
Excuse me, sorry, can you just clarify what you mean by scholarship carousel and then scholarship
So
preparation? Because I guess what I'm trying to understand is, are you saying that you assess whether a particular child is going to meet the criteria for a scholarship in that spring term and then have them kind of preparation for it?
No. So this carousel is for all of the subjects like art or PE or music. So that's your chance to talk to those staff and find out a little bit more about the scholarships for those. In the summer term, so the staff of these subjects, so some, I would say, so art, Mrs. Belton would have, because there's quite a difference between, there's a lot of children who like art, who think they're great at art, and in reality, to get an art scholarship, you've got to be very, very good. And so Mrs. Belton will, alongside senior school staff, look at the requirements, see if it is something, and be quite honest about whether it is something for your daughter to go forward with. We're not saying she can't apply for a scholarship in art, but we have to be realistic. So that's when I say you can find out about that, have the discussions with the teachers to say, is this a reality? Are we going for a scholarship that our daughters might be in with a chance of getting? Because you also don't want to put them through going for a scholarship that is just not possible. It is, well, I say it's not possible, but unrealistic.
When does a decision get made?
So this, right, so then we'll go into year 6. So this is just year 5 background.
And the carousel's just an evening event?
It's an evening event just for you to find out, because, and we don't get involved, we sort of stand there and just let you, it's very much free flow. You go and talk to who you want to know more about. I mean, Miss Potte's talked a little bit about sports one already in the talk we had earlier this year. But it's a chance to see, say, performing arts and find out what's that look like, what have they got to prepare, those kind of things.
What's the difference between the GL assessments versus the ones they're doing this year?
So the material, as far as I know, is very similar. In year 4, 5 and 6 we're going to be doing digital this time, and I'll tell you why in a minute when we talk about what happens with the entrance test. So year 6, they come back September, GL assessments, good preparation because it's an online test. When they come to do their entrance test, they have moved last year to an online test. So the more preparation we have for an online test, the better. So the after school sessions continue through the autumn term of year 6. And then October, so if your daughter is going for, this will be sent out so you will get this later in the week. Submitting those applications, early October, those applications have to be in for each of those scholarships. November, they have their entrance test and interviews. They will be given interview practice beforehand. So that happens during mentoring, and they also have a one-to-one interview, a mock interview with someone they don't know, and I'll talk about that as well in a bit. And then January, non-academic scholarship assessments usually take place, I think, I can't remember if any of them were slightly earlier, sort of December, January, I think. If they were going for sports, they had different days. Or
Yes, some were in the autumn term, some moved into the spring term, depending on when things were planned for. Fundamentally, you'll know if your child is going to go for one of these. All the information, I think it's on the next slide actually, all the information is linked on the senior school website, on the Circle High website. We don't really get involved hugely with the scholarship process because that is led by the senior school. We are very happy to advise and very happy to discuss with you, and fundamentally the process doesn't come down to us, it comes down to the senior school team there, but we are very happy to chat things through with you.
Yeah, the interview, actually I have written notes on this bit.
Sorry, just a question. Do we have to sign them up for the entrance test?
All the information.
I'll tell you.
That's
Yeah.
part of the whole automatic process that you can involved in.
So the actual interview, so they'll meet one-to-one with a member of senior school staff for 10 to 20 minutes, and it gives them an opportunity then really for that senior school member of staff to get to know them, write a few notes about them. They're also given an unseen piece of something. They get to choose, I think, something that they want to talk about. And it's seeing about what they're interested in. That is really, it's not something that you should over-prepare them so that they don't sound childlike. Okay, it needs to be what they are like as a person, and that personality comes through. So, we've obviously prepared them for talking in front of audiences, being able to converse and speak to us, and generally, they're pretty good at doing that in an interview. But it's the unknown adult. Some girls do clam up, so we do encourage that over the next while, getting them to talk to unfamiliar adults and being a bit more confident with that.
And so, they all have a place over the road.
Yeah.
How are the results of the interview used
Right,
and
I'll
the
talk,
test
right.
results? The end
Yeah.
of what is done of those.
Okay. So, the entrance test. So, talk about the entrance test. So, they have a 30-minute online maths and English test, plus a half-an-hour writing assessment. Now this point for some was quite difficult to start with, the fact that it is an adaptive test. So up until we tell them to go back, like I've done today with Puma, go back, check your answer, check, go back, cover it up, write your answer. In an adaptive test, they can't do that because as the test goes on, if they get the question right, then it gets harder. So they can't then go back to their initial answer. So this is a new skill that the girls aren't used to. So we do, in Year 5, start to prepare them for that. And they have classworks, a few homeworks where they're actually trying that style and getting used to it in the maths, writing down in a book, when they're looking at the screen, showing they're working out, don't guess. And Claire, do you want to add anything?
It always makes me laugh a little bit because if you get one wrong, it drops the next question to make it a bit of an easier question, and then it builds it back up again. If you get one wrong, it drops it. So it's adapting to your level, if you like. It always makes me laugh when you sometimes get girls going, yeah, smashed it. You know, you got the first question wrong. So unfortunately, you did get some easier ones. But it's a good way of building confidence, but it is a new skill, which is why we do teach them that. Interestingly, GCSE-wise, there are 2 exam boards who are looking at going completely digital. Pearson's looking next year, we delayed it by a year, but EdXL are trying to push it through a little bit this year as well. So they are experimenting, and it is kind of the way things are going. So we are certainly ahead of the game trying to prepare them for this.
Okay, so then talking about scholarships, so the academic scholarship, you don't apply for an academic scholarship, so basically they all sit the same test and do an interview, and then the senior school team obviously award scholarships, academic scholarships, based on their performance in both of those. So we have had one year where we had someone do so well in the interview, they absolutely blew away a member of SLT and they got awarded a scholarship. Not because necessarily their actual written assessment was that good, but it was still good enough, but it was the interview that really swung it for them, which is nice to see. So this is where it shines through. It's got to be, those academic scholars are the ones who have that love of learning, that passion for learning, and that's what comes through. So they shouldn't be doing it just for the extrinsic reward. I would also not hem up academic scholarships, because we have seen girls in the past really feel like they failed if they don't get an academic scholarship. And it doesn't mean they're not going to have opportunities at high school. You know, you can have girls who do brilliantly who are not scholars. So I think it has to be sort of not really talked about. If it happens, fabulous, but it's not the be-all and end-all of life. So details of other scholarships, you'll get this on Friday. So these are the key pages, just gives you a little bit more information about scholarship process, timeline. I did look on recently, obviously the timeline won't be right for your girls because it's next year's cohort that's on there at the moment. Yeah.
Sorry, back in school, I feel like will these slides be shared?
Yes, Friday, so they'll come out with the bi-weekly on Friday.
This is all on the website, so it's already all there, but we'll send the links.
Does it put sciences and humanities within there as well? Or just
That would be in the
academic
academic scholarship.
the academic.
Yeah, I think it's an all-round.
Yes, they don't separate it out into different subject areas.
So support at home. How yes.
Just before the interview,
Yeah.
is it before the exam, after the exam, or variable? Because there was a bit of confusion a few years ago because it was going to be after the exam based on maybe drawing on things that was when the exam was different, and then they ordered it the week before the exam. So
A little bit out of our control.
Yeah, the last 2 years it's been afterwards, so that's what we're aiming for.
Not the last 2 years.
Last
Current
year.
year 7s did it before the exam,
Oh, okay.
because that was the group
This year, yeah.
that had been told in this talk that the interview might draw on things from the exam, and then they found out very near to it that the interview was before the exam, which threw a few people.
Yes, you're right, and that was the year they started doing they gave 3 pieces of information which weren't related to the exam, because that obviously wouldn't be fair. But that was when they gave 3 pieces of information, the children to choose one, and then they were.
And if they stuck with that 3.
They did last year. This is
We
part of
don't
the joy of senior school, is that sometimes curveballs come in, shall we say. So we weren't expecting a digital exam last year, and yeah, we got one. So that's why we adapt. Currently it's 30 minutes. If they turn around and say, actually we do 45 minutes.
Well, it was 20,
Yeah, it
but
was
they're
20,
going
yeah.
to 30.
So we are very flexible with what is going to happen, and we are more informed than other people, external candidates coming in, for example. So it does put our children at a slight advantage, but it does change, I should say.
Yeah, because definitely the interview for the current year 7s was not what most people would see to be an interview. It's not like, what do you like doing? and this is just to help with the people, it was like, it shows a piece of writing, a picture, or some like kind of maths diagram.
Yeah.
10 minutes to look into it, and then it was basically like a one-on-one lesson. So it was like they then sat with a teacher and they were asked a question, and then they pushed them and explored things depending on what they'd chosen. So it was more like a tutorial, tutorial, not a kind of what do you like doing in your spare time and how many pets have you got.
Yes, yeah.
So I thought that might be useful to share, but then they'll
Yeah.
probably ask our girls what pets they've got.
No, you don't know. I think you just have to be prepared for.
Yeah.
So,
But actually, does that then actually begs the question, does that mean that because the senior school is making its own decision, that's separate from the prep school, they have their own process, are they giving the prep school girls first priority before they go to external candidates, or are they not?
first priority for what?
Or going through?
Oh, everyone here has a place.
Okay.
You all have a place. So they treat everyone on the same level playing.
In this school, not externally, everyone else has to test in, but
Yes.
not externally.
They have to pass the
So
interview.
the test and the interview is only for the scholarship?
Yes.
No, it's for everybody.
Yes, but in
The only meaning
in the
it has
scheme of
for our children
things,
is the
it's
scholarship.
really to decide on academic scholars.
Yeah.
It's not deciding on whether they've got a place. They have
So
a place.
if you don't do well in the test and the interview, you still get through?
Yes.
It's good experience for them to do it.
It's good experience. It does help to guide the initial settings that they do across the road, but they very much flex in days as well. So it is not a pass or fail, it's already a pass. So you're already way ahead of any external candidate.
Just quickly, the 30-minute writing assessment, is that actual writing? or
Yes.
is that
Yes,
writing?
unless your child is a laptop user,
Okay.
then they will do it on laptops.
So preparation for interview, family discussions, just talking about general knowledge, just talking, which is the best. We encourage that 100%. Talk to your children. Yes, talking to unfamiliar adults, just being used to that and talking to them in a respectful way. Right, reading widely. Does your child, read first news, the day? Are they interested in the world around them? Do they know what's going on? And yes, it might be useful, they might get asked, but I can't definitely say they're going to be asked about. But they should show that they're passionate about something. Right? What are their passions? Something different, so the summer work will be on show me, I think I've said that, and obviously support them in doing that so that they don't come back in September having not done any of the holiday work, because they will be at a disadvantage if they don't do it. And then, don't over-prep them for an interview. But it's just simple things like how they come in and smile or greet someone that, rather than walking in and sort of looking at the ground or sitting awkwardly, things like that. So, easing transition. Is this you or me?
I can do it if you like.
No, that's fine. Carry on. So you will be given opportunities to tour the senior school with parents. The girls will be, you. And also, so our current year 5 is going to be doing this in the next couple of weeks. They have a couple of transition days over at the high school, so they have lessons with the senior school staff, just so they get to know the place, the people, and just feel a bit more at ease about senior school life. Discussions, these have happened today for our current year 6s, discussions between year 6 teachers and year 7, so that they are fully aware of everything. There is a transition group, so Mrs. Williams, girls who we feel might find it that transition slightly difficult. It's not the easiest, starting year 7, so there might be things, might be a transition group talking about routines, friendships, all sorts of things. And that goes on in the summer term. Mentoring discussions in year 6, lots about transition, what senior school life will be like, how they might be feeling, because there will be different emotions going on. Excitement, nervousness, worried, sad that they're leaving the prep school, maybe not. But yes, after the entrance test, the academic rigour goes on. We still keep going after the entrance exam. It's not just a party after that. And so this is something we brought in this year, that in the spring term of year 6, we put in place additional homework. So not additional maths and English, but other subjects. So small amounts of different subjects, so that they get used to that time management, managing one subject that's got to be then in 2 days later, which when they get to high school they're going to be having to do more than maths and English homework. And this is in response to feedback we got from the girls who had gone over to the high schools. Some of them found it difficult to manage their time. So we brought that in the springtime this year.
This is me.
This is you.
This is me. Right. After all that academia, I get to talk to you about the fun stuff. So, the girls here are fully supported by lots and lots of staff, not just the form teachers. You probably don't know half the names and half the faces when you see them around the school. So we have a very multifaceted approach here. So we've got the teachers, we have the curriculum, and we have the whole school approach. So what we do, first of all, our priority is to know your girls, know them inside out and know exactly what makes them tick. And if there isn't something yet that's ticking, like Mrs. Allwright says with all those passions, trying to help them find those passions. Because you find a passion, you find your confidence, you grow and you start to flourish. We also know what they can expect, as much as we get told and how much we can work out is going on. So we really help to prepare them, really help to get them as ready as they possibly can be for what is essentially an exam they've already passed. We're very good at recognising signs of concern, and we have that obviously in year 3 and 4. We have our mentoring sessions, we have our daily, twice a day form team teacher contact, we have our PSHE lessons. There's a lot of contact with their form teachers, despite the fact that the girls are still moving around to specialist subjects and increasingly so into 5 and 6. And then lots of adults who notice, and staff here really do care. They meet them on the door, open the car doors, meet them on the gate, watching them in the playground, just noticing those little things when someone comes in, just a little bit mopey. That conversation then very quickly gets fed back to the form teachers, and then the team who wrap around them. We also have got the curriculum, so in 5 and 6, mentoring doubles. So your girls will get 2 mentoring sessions a week in their small groups of 8 with their mentor that rotates throughout the year, as well as the PSHE and the form time. A lot of sharing emotions and discussions, to the point where some girls go, I'm not talking about this again, Mr. William, please. I'm looking forward to going to year 7. When sometimes the quieter ones, you just know that there's a little something there, and so we just unpick that a little bit. So there's a lot of time together again. That was a good combination. Very high expectations. We do set those expectations, we do teach to there, but we scaffold and support those girls who might need a slower pace or might need a bit more input to get to their level. So a lot of high expectations, and then a lot of strategies to support them with their exams, and actually knowing the style of exam is a huge step up. And lastly, as a school, it's kind of embedded in everything that we do, and it's within all of our staff. Our number 1 priority is the girls. Every decision we make is it right for the girls? And ultimately, our end goal is not year 6 going into year 7. Actually, our end goal is loving the fact that we see what happens to the year 13s and then where they go. And then sometimes the year 13s come back and find out 3 years later through the alumni programme, what have they done? Have they gone to university? Have they done something else? And tell us all about that and how they are continuing to grow. So our end goal is not year 6. We are very much trying to prepare the girls for far, far into the future as best we can. Yes, the English national curriculum is all based mostly on knowledge, but actually we are trying to teach them skills as well and how to deal with the life's problems that are going to be sent their way. So from our point of view to you, and this is sort of the shared messaging so that we can work together as a team, first of all, do encourage the girls' independence. Let them make their own mistakes, let them take ownership over their mistakes, and then let's let them move on. So if they make mistakes, don't go emailing me and ask, they've forgotten their homework, can you let them off? No, they've forgotten their homework. They're going to get told off for it, but that's okay, because we just move on and go, okay, I won't do it again. Brilliant, job done. But let them do that, let them fall, let them trip, let them hurt themselves along the way. We will help pick them up along with you, but they've got to be independent and ready for year 7. A healthy sense of perspective. Ultimately, they've already passed. So in the balance of things, I know we're talking about academia and really pushing things and rigour and scholarships, but ultimately, all of your girls have already passed the exam. So let's keep a healthy sense of perspective and let's keep it really balanced. So work hard, yep, but they need to play time as well. They need downtime. Don't fill every single evening with lots and lots of clubs. Let them have a couple of nights off, and that downtime and that chatting and that discussion with families around the dinner table is really, really vital. Having said that, we do expect them to work hard, and we do increase the expectation of homework a little bit, but it's always with that balanced sense of perspective that it's okay to maybe not do your homework. You've had a busy week, family camping, for example. We don't expect homework on that Monday. There's always going to be a bit of leeway. Study skills, developing those good habits now. As the girls become increasingly independent, particularly into secondary school, there will be an expectation for them to know and to understand how they best work. And everyone is different. We are all different. Some girls will really love, and we try and help them develop these, so some girls really love doing mind maps, for example. Personally, I hate doing mind maps. I'm more a bullet pointy person, hence this. So everyone's different, but trying to develop those study skills now, so they've got those good habits in place, really hits the ground running. And knowing things like the learning habits when they go into secondary school, up into the senior school, they're already one step ahead. And lastly, it's so important to remember, everybody's individual journey is different. So please don't compare. Please don't. It's very hard. The girls are very good at comparing with themselves, and we keep trying to downplay that because actually it is irrelevant what Susan's got compared to Charlotte. It is absolutely irrelevant. It's about their own personal journey. That's how we view it. That's how we view it with you. So it's important for them to try and just not compare with each other and actually just think about their own personal journey. And be positive. It's a fun journey. 5 and 6, busy, busy, busy years. The girls get a huge amount from it, and we always get to this part of the year and we go, we're about to say goodbye to them. We've just done all this work with them, and they're just at that point where we're going, yes, look how amazing you are as human beings. And then we start all over again. But that is what we do, and that's what we love about it, but it's about being positive along the way. And that's what keeps it fun for us and for you. And that is it from us. Miss McKay has snuck in outside there. Welcome back from the hockey.
Thank you. I do apologise for missing the start of that. And I was obviously at the start going to say thank you for joining us, and that just to echo what Mrs. Orleback and Mr. Williams has said, it really is a partnership. We really want to, and we need to work with you. And it has to be that shared conversation. So things like, if something's happened at the weekend and your daughter's struggling, please let us know. It really helps us at school. And vice versa, we always say we'll be in contact with you if we've got concerns, if we've got worries. But also, it can be quite challenging for them. Moving into year 5 and 6, they do find it difficult, and it is natural to have those bumps along the way, and there will be times where they are really struggling and they find it tough, but then there'll also be those times where they're having a fantastic time and things are going well. And I think the point about keeping that perspective and actually trying not, I think, as parents, to get caught up in the stress at 11 plus. And for those of you who've had sons who've gone through it, it can be a really, really stressful process. And it doesn't need to be for the girls, because the girls have their place at the senior school. but we want to keep up that level so they're doing as best they possibly can and reaching their potential. And it's that balance. Can we get them to do as best they possibly can without putting too much stress and pressure on them? But feeling a little bit of pressure is also important, because that is life and that's the things that's going to happen, and it's that balancing act all the time, and we really want to work with you with that. So, let us know how things are at home and we can then work together in a partnership, and we really value your support that you give your daughters, and we know that it doesn't all happen by magic, and we're very appreciative of that. So I think it's just keeping that open door, keeping those conversation lines open, and kind of sharing with us things and vice versa. But we do try to ensure that the girls have as stress-free a process as possible, because actually their experience at school is about so much more than academics, but it's about getting that balance right. And we're learning at all times about your daughters, because all your daughters are different, and so every year that's why we don't follow exactly the same process, because every year our cohort of children is slightly different and your daughters are slightly different, and it's finding the right thing for all of them. But thank you very much to Ms. Thorlack and Mr. Williams, and I'm sure you might have lots of questions, so if you do have any questions, I think now is a good time for us to answer them.
So do we have to actually go onto the website and sign them up for the entrance exam, or you do that for us?
That is all in motion. They will sit it whether they like it or not. But it's, as I say, it's not a part of it, it just helps put a mark.
Yeah, but we just don't have to do the admin pay and
you have to do you will have to, once the places have been offered, you do have to kind of officially accept your daughter's place.
It's only the other scholarships that you would need to do a process. But that's where that carousel evening would explain it.
Can I just ask about the entrance exam? Is that used to then set the girls or stream them to start with?
But
because they have to go from something that is equivalent across internal, external.
It's very loose, though. I think I would say it is very loose.
It's for the first 5 weeks or half term.
Yeah.
Is it just maths that they're set for? It is only maths that they're set for, and they're not even set across the whole year week, so it's kind of too big, because they'll have 2 forms or max 3 forms paired up. So within those forms, they'll split them into 1, 2 and 3 for maths, but there's loads of movement. And they're not set up for anything else.
No. So it's a very loose, it doesn't, and we always say this, if your daughter has an absolute shocker of a day, it doesn't matter. And, we don't tell them that before they go in, but it really doesn't matter, because actually we just want them to go in there and do their best. And if it all goes, they're 10 and 11, sometimes they have a shocker. And they really don't do how we would expect them to do. It's okay, and it's not going to impact how they move into the senior school. And no matter how badly they do, that place will never get taken away from them. Okay, so that's also a good thing to reassure them, because if they come out and they have had a bad day, sometimes they can't judge it, they really struggle. Sometimes they come out and they're in tears and we go, brilliant. And other days they come out and go, oh yeah, that was easy. Was it? But it doesn't matter. That's okay. That doesn't matter.
Sorry, the computer-based entrance exam, the new one, is that on an iPad?
Yes.
Yeah. And they sit it here in their classrooms. So their teachers are around them, so that also generally just makes it feel a bit calmer. So that's good.
So, the after-school maths and English that's changed to be open for all.
Yeah.
How are you going to deliver that? So it was previously, well, it was pretty much open to all, but it was in different groups with different titles. Is that still essentially what you're doing, or will it just be random and they'll all do the same thing?
So we've changed it this year. We have, how it's worked this year is we had half of the time that they were doing their after school was in broadly more grouped based on the areas they found trickier and the areas that they were stronger with. We've now gone to totally mixed ability, and I would say it's working better.
Yes. In maths as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
interestingly.
It's because we can focus, we use those sessions to focus a little bit more, not just we're going to do maths and we're going to do English, but actually the broader skills and the broader
Problem solving is, I think, the big
Yeah.
focus, isn't it?
that is by its nature a more mixed ability thing, because some girls, for example, with space and shape will be fantastic, but they might find fractions really hard, and vice versa. So it actually works really well as a
But the group's still quite small.
Yes.
Yes, 8 each. That's because that's how many have signed up this year, and it does clash with sports clubs, but it is then down to a
Has the
choice.
uptake reduced since you changed the reading?
No.
Because when it was labelled Stretch and Challenge, it was sort of
I mean,
Had a
it's
slightly
still
different
stretch and
image.
challenge
What
because
we're
we're
saying,
still
it is
trying to
still-
get them
It is still
to.
stretch and challenge, but what
Yeah.
we're saying is we're not limiting you if you want to come to it.
so it's stretching and challenging everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, and actually it is really important, I think, at this age that we don't label them and say, you can't come along to this group because we don't think you're able to do it. So actually we say, do you know what, everyone can come along to this group and we will pitch it at the right level for you, but actually what we're finding is that it's working really well, and we're able to get, because it's more, I think, perhaps higher order thinking as well. That's what we're working on, rather than just the
Basic operations.
the operations, because actually that's the difference between a scholar and someone who's not a scholar is that higher order thinking, and so that's what we're trying to develop in them.
But it's not the sort of scenario where if actually maybe going back they wouldn't have been stretch and challenge material, that they'll come along and then it'll just destroy their
No.
confidence. Does that make
Yeah,
we're definitely not up
makes
for doing
sense
that.
that
We're wanting everyone who comes along, everyone who chooses to come along, and I think, like Mr. Williams said, they do have to commit to it. There is extra homework, there is an expectation that they're doing more outside of the group. So if they're happy to do that, we are really happy for them to come along, and we will make sure that everything is at the right level for them. And that it isn't, because it's not meant to be demoralising, it's also meant to be because they want to do more maths and English. That's how we're
It's a
pitching
club.
it to them. We want you should want to do it because you want to do more maths and English, and we're making it enjoyable and fun. But actually, if that's not what they want to do, and they'd rather be going to hockey or a music club, then do that. If that's what your passion is, do that. Because I think what we're saying as well, it's important to say that the work they're doing in their lessons is what they need to be stretched if they were a scholar, for example. They don't need to come along to a Monday after school, but it would be beneficial if they did. But it's not going to be the difference between, we've had girls who haven't come along who've got scholarships, and we've had girls who perhaps didn't think they were scholarship material, and actually in year 6 that's when it all came together, and then they
It's that, I suppose, digging deep and doing those puzzles to be able to really, like when they come across something tricky, it's that resilience. That's what we're sort of developing.
And you can do that at any level of maths. I think that's the important thing. You don't have to be doing really high level maths to find something hard and keep going at it. And they're the skills we're trying to develop.
Are they 2 different sessions for maths?
Yes, it's separate maths, 2 different nights. So
So at the moment we have maths on Monday and Tuesday is an English session.
They can pick and choose. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, you can do one subject. So the morning sessions are smaller groups, very much targeted at, so it could be girls that we, like in a specific area, might have similar schools, and we're really trying to work on building their, their math skills, their general, just going revising things we've done in class, or it might be a group that we're really sort of like trying to push up slightly. So it looks different in different subjects as well. English, it might be a writing focus, it could be
I think it's also very much dependent on the needs. So when they've done their assessment, so this year's groups could be quite different from next year's groups, because we might say actually in September we've got quite a big core that are kind of that middle group that we're like, right, we can really push you on. Or it might be a small group that we say, you know what, for half a term we really want to work on this with you because you've all found that quite hard, or so it's very much a movable thing really.
What comes out of the timetable for allowing the second mentor exam?
Good question, this is all about. This is all about does the timetable.
They don't have as many reading sessions. So in year 4 they have 2 reading sessions a week, whereas they only have 1 reading session in year 5. So probably that. I think, yeah.
Brilliant.